We're going to make our first flitch cut. Flitch cut means we're going to, our first cut to pass. Some of you may think it's horrible and terrible to waste this sapwood, but sapwood doesn't behave. It's not going to do any good for you. Our first cut needs to become relatively close to what our square is going to be. So with a 14-inch heartwood on here, my expectation is going to be around 13 inches, just on the off chance I can get full 13 out of it. So I'm going to measure from the center up about 6.5 and see where that puts me pretty much right just underneath here. So my first pass wants to be from the ground up about 34 inches on this cut. So we're going to set our saw to that. We're going to make sure we can make the pass. All right, we got our flitch off here, and we're going to take a look at this. Even though both ends measure 28, I'm actually just a tad bit low on the end. I'm a little high on this end. I need to bring this end up a little bit. It could be that the pith was a little bit out of concentricity down here. It wasn't quite in the center of the actual growing circle. But we're going to go ahead and give this just about an inch or two up, just a fuzz. Make another little pass here because I didn't go quite the full depth because I was worried about the spread of this tree hitting the sides of the saw here. It won't become a problem once we make our second and third cut. But I did have to cut a little bit of way out here to let the water bath on the blade have room to move by the log. But I'm going to go ahead and pick it up, I would say probably every bit of an inch, and make another slight pass here and see if I can get where we need to be. Okay, we raised it up an inch on the crown, and we made the cut again. You notice that we've got a pretty even balance of sapwood and heartwood all the way down the length of our board here. So I'm confident that we've pretty much got our pith in line. I've also got an annular ring here that this tree, remember we talked about the fact that the heart looked a little bit wavy. You'll notice here that I've got an annular that keeps coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. That is going to give us that fiddleback effect as we cut into this. This is actually going to be a pretty interesting log once we get into it, once to cut it into lumber. What we're going to do now is we're going to roll this over and we're going to do our parallel cut. So we're almost there. We're almost to the point of squaring it up. We really won't have a good fix of what we're doing until we get the third cut that stabilizes this as far as we're cubing it. Right now, we've got, I'm still showing about 9, almost 10 inches of heartwood on the top here. We'll try to shoot for that, and when we get done with cubing it, we'll have a little bit of sapwood on the corners and stuff, but I try to get as much yield out of it as possible. And as far as the question, what do we do with the flitches? Well, normally when we're doing a lot of this, we'll call a lot of the wood carvers, the local artisan, or we simply rip it up, and that's what we use for firewood in our shops as well as with the limbing of this tree. But we try not to waste anything. We try to, the tree was nice enough to let us cut it down, be nice enough not to, it's morally wrong for us to pay to send it to the dump. We'll find a use for it in some fashion and such. Being white oak, if this were, this would be a pretty good wood for us to give a call to the Boy Scouts, see if they wanted to start making some birdhouses and projects like that. So we always find a way to get rid of our woods. I'm going to go ahead and flip this and we'll get our second cut on this. So let's get about, I'm going to have to flip this over, we'll get about getting our good cuts. The one problem we do have to know is, I know for a fact on the other side, we're going to have to be coming up against the knot. So the knot's right here. So we know that our first cuts are going to be okay, but as we get further into it, we've got this knot here to worry about. So about the time we get our second or third cut here from the end, we're going to have some reaction wood toward the 1/3 end of the board here. So again, it's just, we got to, as we make each cut, we'll experience what we're going to expose to ourselves, what we can use, but it'll be fun. We'll enjoy seeing what we got out of it. It's time we turn it and try to get some more decent lumber out of it. We're done for the lengthwise. We've got a knot here to worry about. Looks like we've got some sapwood to worry about, some waning. So our first cut should pretty much get us through this. I'm going to get about 5 or 6 boards out of it, and they're going to be about 7-inch boards. That's pretty much what we look at when we're talking about getting our harvestable or our proper yield out of a log. This was a great example considering the amount of damage we already had to the log and the shape of it from the stump cut, and it was a city log, and I mean that by the fact that have expectations in the first 5 to 6 feet of that log to find nails, fencing, wrenches, especially if it's got a crotch in it somewhere that it grew up, and there chances are people laid fencing tools and stuff in it. We've hit all of those. But have some fun, make some money.